so much. I'd like to thank Sandwell Council, MS. Thank you. Very good back. This is such a great honour. I didn't think I'd feel as moved as I am. I think it's just wonderful. I feel like I'm getting married or something. For the first time. There's a bit of a misconception, you know, in the entertainment business, because it's always written, and it's not true, that I started off, and you've got it right, being a stand-up comic. I've never done stand-up comedy, but I thought to break the ice, I'll tell a couple of jokes if I may. Yeah? And then you'll all understand why I'm not a stand-up comic. Okay, the first one is a moth goes into an optician's, sits down on the chair and says, "Oh, I'm depressed. I'm depressed. My life's not worth living. Me children, then still grubs, but then play me up. Me wife's gone off with another moth. And I think there must be more to life than just getting bits of wool and chewing on it, and I'm that depressed. I'm that depressed." And the optician says, "Well, I know, but I think you need to see a psychiatrist. I'm an opticianist. Why have you come in here?" And he says, "Well, your light was on." Doctor, I've got a mountain lake, some trees and a nice bit of grass growing out the top of my head. Don't worry, it's only a beauty spot. Thank you. This is a great honour, the greatest honour, really. When I was first asked, I was extremely honoured, obviously, but also felt very humbled by it and a bit panicky, because I thought the freedom of Sandwell, and I live now in London. Thankfully, I've always come back here a lot. So I really thought about it. I come back here every other weekend, really, don't I? And my sister, God bless her, looks after Mum during the week, and Mark does weekends, and I do the other week. We work with my brother, we're all working it out, and you're well loved, ain't you, Mum? Yes. And so I thought, wait a minute, London's where my head is, all the practical stuff. But Sandwell, especially Oldville, is where my heart is. And when I come back at weekends, I'm not Josie. I had to change my name to Josie because Equity apparently already had a Josie Lawrence, and I so Josie's my auntie's name. But when I come back here, I'm very much Wendy. I do the chores, I cook the dinner, and I go around to the shops and usually spend ages in the shops because I chat with everybody. Did you know my florist, Alison, in Oldville, has got an African grey parrot, and every time I go there and get the flowers, it tells me what the latest thing is that he's said, and this is a cracker. She said, "Guess what he can say now?" I said, "What?" She said, "He can say, 'Help! Help me! I'm a human trapped in a bird's body.'" Apparently it really freaked the window cleaner out. And I love coming home. And I was sitting in Mum's garden a couple of weeks ago listening to the Oldville church bells, and I thought, I'm going to really relish today, because it's from being here, from my roots, that all these little beginnings happened, little beginnings that meant that I've got the career that I love so much today. Little beginnings like being at the Lawrence Lane Primary School, where the teachers really encouraged us to play, and Friday and Thursday afternoons was just a big box of dressing up clothes. And I remember the first costume I put on was red and yellows, and I had a recorder, so I was the Pied Piper. I produced and directed it as well. And all my girlfriends, of course, had the main parts, and all the boys were the rats. And I said, "Now you've got to go under the desk, and when I play my recorder, you've got to come out and crawl after me." And that's much like my relationship with men nowadays. I love them to death, but it's nice to have them crawling. And then, of course, I went on to Rowley Regis Grammar School. Mr. Lawson, Miss Robinson, God bless her, Mr. Hudson, my drama teacher. I joined in all the plays as soon as I could. And then, when I was 16, I joined the Barlow Players. And it's from there I really learned about my stagecraft. I think we've got some people. Hello! Brilliant. I did 3 shows there. And just hearing the applause and all the backstage stuff and the costumes and the actors teaching me so much made me think, yes, I want to do this and I can do this. And my lovely, lovely cousin Barry Carpenter, he was the one who, without me knowing, filled in a form for Cheltenham Speech and Drama Festival when I was 16. I'd just missed the teenage category, so I had to be put in with the adults. And I did Arnold Wesker's Chicken Soup with Barley, and I won. And I thought, yes, oh God, I think I can do this. It was the first time Express and Star took my photo. I think they put me on a step ladder, and the title was When Did Climbs the Ladder of Success, which I thought was very imaginative. I was on top of the step ladder, you see. And then, of course, in the olden days, sadly it doesn't really happen, I suppose, but in the olden days, I got a place at Dartington College of Arts to do my degree, and it was in the days when you could get a free grant. And it's because of Sandwell Council that I ended up going to Dartington and having the experience at that wonderful place. So all those little beginnings, and everybody, it was all here that it happened. But of course, it was only when I left the area that I realised about the Black Country accent. Now, I've always been proud of my Black Country accent, and it always gets broader when I'm very happy, very angry, or I've had Chardonnay. And in my early 20s, I can remember I got a job as a waitress when I was very young. You always do a bit of waitressing when you're an actress. I got a job in Murray's Business Luncheon Men's Club. And it was owned by a Scottish woman. We had to wear a kilt. We had to wear Moors, not just a kilt, it wasn't that kind of kilt. But it was for businessmen, and I can remember serving these businessmen saying, I had courgettes. I said, do you like courgettes? Didn't have courgettes at our house, really. We did with posh things. But I said, do you like courgettes? Would you like courgettes? And the man said, no, thank you, I don't like courgettes. And I said, no, neither do I. They're like slices of warm, soggy cucumber, ain't they? And he said, where do you come from? Is it Australia? And I went, no. Is it South Africa? And I went, no. And he said, where then? I went, Oldfield. And he said, where's Oldfield? I went, it's near Dudley. And then, of course, nowadays, you wait a couple of seconds and you get the reply, oh, Dudley! It only happens to us. I mean, somebody from Yeovil, they don't go, I'm from Yeovil, you go, oh wow, oh wow. I mean, you wouldn't do it, would you? But it's lucky that we've all got a good sense of humour. And I do try and get the accent in as much as possible, like with Florence from Craigie and Friday Night Live. Also, Benedict, which was an all-female production, much to that, at the Globe Theatre in London. I did that completely Black Country in my own accent, and it's wonderful how Shakespeare's words fit into the Black Country accent. I mean, he was a fellow Midlander, and I'm still working on it. I'm writing with someone at the minute to try and get a series set in the Black Country. And well done to Fizzog, who work a lot at the Black Country Museum, because I think they're going to try to get a sketch show commissioned. I hope so, because let's hear more about the accent. That's what I was saying. And am I doing all right with time? Because I'm worried I'm going on a bit. Now, my family have always been there for me through the good times with, yay, I got the job, to the bad times of, oh God, I didn't get it, they don't want me, I'll never work again. They've always been there for me, and I guess some of the highlights, too numerous to pick out. One was sitting in a darkened cinema with me mum and dad on either side, and me and them both squeezing my hand simultaneously when my face came on the screen in a film called Enchanted April. Taking my bow at the Royal Shakespeare Company, because it was a dream of mine to always work there. Singing Shall We Dance at the Palladium, and doing that wonderful dance as Mrs. Anna while the revolve at the Palladium stage went round and round, faster and faster. Working in Birmingham, 4 times now I've worked in Birmingham. I love working here. The last time was Cherry Orchard, which is one of my favourite plays. Working with the likes of Peter Cook on Whose Line Is It Anyway? And working every week with the Comedy Store Plays. We just got into the Guinness Book of Records as the longest running comedy group. And so it's wonderful that I get the chance to actually work live every week. And then I'd like to thank my family, especially Janet, when I decided to go on that 8-month trip, because Mom did not want me to go. She thought I'd fall down a ravine or get eaten by lions. It was a fantastic trip. There was over 180 women, many of whom had suffered with breast cancer and were recovering, all walked with Karen Churches and I, my fellow trekker and I, through weekly treks. We started off April the 17th in the Gobi Desert, then had to leave because of SARS, which is why we trekked around different parts of the world. Then we went back to China as soon as we could, and it was the most amazing experience. The rural Chinese folk, as with many rural folk, had absolutely nothing, were so kind. They loved me because I was huge to them, and also had hairy arms, which they don't have. So many a time I'd walk into the village and I'd just be stroked like a great big yeti. A little old lady once I saw on the road, she got bubble wrap wrapped around her knees because it was a harvest time and she had to be on her knees picking the bricks out of the soil. She had one apple. And I said, oh, ni hao ma, ni hao, no tea, got one apple for her lunch. And then she walked off. I thought, oh. About 10 minutes later, she come back with a little scarf, opened it up, and she'd gone to a tree and she picked up 10 apples for the 10 women who were walking. And it was just a lovely, lovely experience. Nearly there. And then Kilimanjaro for the Sunfield. Now, Kili did nearly kill me. As we were walking up, I don't know if people here have walked in altitude, but it's the strangest thing. You have to take it slowly, and there was 10 women, and I remember there was a young chap walking past us, and he said something to us like, what's this, the Women's Institute? And just strolled on ahead of us. He got this one African guide with him, and then 5 days of climbing, and on the ascent climb, it was 14 hours. You have to start in the cold of night and then walk up. And as I was getting to the top, and the sun was rising, and I was kind of on my own by then, because you all sort of spread out and take your own time. This guy was being stretchered down, and he said, are you trying to make it to the top? And I said, well, yes, I'm going to try. And he went, you won't make it, it's hard. And his African guide looked at me and went, like that, because he'd gone up too fast. And I did make it to the top. Funnily enough, I got to the stellar point, the crater bit, and there was 8 other people who'd climbed up who I didn't know, and they said, would you mind taking our photo? And the thing about it, when you get to the top, nearly everybody bursts into tears. And they said, would you mind taking our photo? I said, yeah. And of course, they'd all gone for cameras, 10 of them. And I started taking the photos, and they said, your name's Josie, isn't it? I said, yes. And they said, we're from Stourbridge. I didn't know your brother. Top of Kilimanjaro. Hopefully next year I'm going to be climbing the Atlas Mountain, so you'll all be hearing from me, because I want to do that for some local charities as well. But there's no place like home, and here I am home, here I am receiving the freedom. I'm here with Bill, who's can't wait to hear him talk, he's lovely. I've got his CD with him, so I might even sing. Oh, God. It's time to go. I just want to say finally that I want to share this honour. I want to share it with everybody who lives in Old Deal, Nigel at the cook shop, the own bake, the florist, the news agents, everybody there, the people who organise the turning of the lights in Old Deal, the people who create the Old Deal Festival, one of the best days out, and for such a worthy cause. For the nurses and the doctors that give such great care, to my mum, for my neighbours, to the teachers in the area, especially those at Sunfield and those at Orchard, like my niece-in-law who works and went to see the most amazing Christmas show there once that broke my heart. It was wonderful. Thank you to the firemen at the bottom of our street. I'd quite like to thank them personally. I'd obviously like to thank my brother and his family, Brother John, and my sister Janet and her family, and all my family. I love them very, very much, very, very much. I love my mum very, very much. She's made a great effort to get here today, but she did it. And I know that tomorrow morning she'll say, you might have the freedom of the city, but that won't get the Ubering done. and finally, I'd like to thank somebody who is with us here today, even though you can't see him. And that's my dad, Bert Lawrence, who was a true good friend of Eric's, and a true gentleman, and a true gentle man. There's nothing he wouldn't do for his family. He was Old Deal born and bred. And I'm sure he'd be very proud today, not just of me, but of all of us. And from him and from me, I'd like to say thank you so